So, it's our last day of the score fair, and it kind of feels good to say that. At the same time, I'm going to be a little sad because I would love to keep doing this, but we have had a bunch of great universities so far, and today we have three wonderful presentations for you. Today we're starting out with Milwaukee School of Engineering, and Samantha Cammers is here to tell us a little bit more about MSOE. I got the chance to go visit MSOE not too long ago, and we actually put a video up about it very recently. And honestly, it was an amazing experience. Greatly exceeded my expectations, honestly. It's a beautiful campus, beautiful buildings, modern infrastructure, and I'm sure Samantha's going to tell you a whole lot more about it. Thanks, Samantha, for taking the time out of your day to talk to us and to, show us a little bit more about MSOE.
Of course. So thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to speak on behalf of MSOE today. So to get started, my name is Samantha Cammers. I'm the Director of Non-Traditional Admissions, otherwise known as International Admissions, at the Milwaukee School of Engineering, known as MSOE for short. And on this picture here, you can see one of our newest academic buildings. This is our Computer Science and Software Engineering facility. And I'll talk a little bit more about this building once we get into the presentation. But in this building, we do have a supercomputer, which is really important for students who are looking to study computer science or software engineering. And so with that, we will continue on in the presentation. So to get started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about MSOE, some quick facts about the school, some of our rankings. So we are primarily an undergraduate engineering university in the United States. Even though we primarily focus on engineering, we do have a few other programs as well, which I'll talk about later. But we are pretty highly ranked in the US. So you can see we are ranked number 9 for undergraduate engineering across the United States. So very highly ranked in the top 10 for engineering. And we have some individual programs as well, which are pretty highly ranked. So we have actuarial science, which is ranked as the 2nd program in the country. Computer engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, and mechanical engineering are all ranked in the top 15 as well for individual programs across the United States. And even though we have those strong engineering programs, we also have a nursing program. So our nursing program is also very popular. It's very strong. In our nursing program, when you graduate, you have to take a test called the NCLEX, and this is what gets you your nursing license. And at MSOE, we have a 90% pass rate on the first attempt for that test. So our nursing program is very strong, very hands-on as well. I did mention on the first slide, we have a computer science program. This program is actually focused on artificial intelligence, and we have that supercomputer on campus for our undergraduate students to utilize. So the supercomputer is a $10 million GPU-powered supercomputer that was fully donated by one of our alumni, who is the vice president of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a very large computer company organization in California, and he is one of our alumni, and he donated the supercomputer to our campus. So it's very important to our campus. And the most important thing for you to know about MSOE is we are an application-oriented curriculum. So what that means is we are a hands-on university. We are putting you in labs, we're putting you in classes where you're going to be doing all hands-on work with the programs, the software, the equipment, and you're going to develop the skills as an engineer to be successful in your field and to move on to get a really great job after you graduate from MSOE. If you're not familiar with where we are located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is in the Midwest region of the United States. And you can see on the map, Milwaukee is located on the shores of Lake Michigan. So we have Lake Michigan right on the border of Wisconsin. And we are about 130 kilometers north of Chicago. So Chicago is one of the large metropolitan areas in the United States. And it's about a 90-minute drive from Milwaukee to Chicago. Milwaukee is the largest city in the state of Wisconsin. We have 1.6 million people. So it is a very large urban metropolitan area. And Milwaukee is a very beautiful, friendly, clean, safe, and fun city. So you can see from the photos in the background, our campus is located in downtown Milwaukee. So it's very easy to walk to restaurants, to museums, to nature trails. Everything that you could need is right in the downtown area. It's very easy to walk there. We do have public transportation as well, but it's very easy to get around the city. There's a lot of stuff to do. We have athletics, sports teams, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Milwaukee Brewers, which are located in downtown Milwaukee as well. So there's just a lot to do in the city, and it's an urban area where you'll find a lot of fun things to do. When we're discussing the campus itself, it is a small campus. So we are a small school and we do pride ourselves in that small size, which I'll discuss on the next few slides. We have just under 3,000 students in total on campus. 100 of those students are international students, and we're always looking to add additional international students to our campus. And we have over 30 different countries that are represented through these students. We also have some international faculty represented. And again, we're really just focused on the practical application of what you're learning in the classroom. So in the classroom, you're going to be learning your theory, and then you're going to be applying it directly in the lab and making sure that you're fully understanding those concepts by doing everything in the hands-on way. I mentioned that we are an engineering university. So you can see here that we have a select number of programs, most of which are engineering programs. But having this limited amount of programs means that we're able to really pay a lot of attention to the programs that we do have and put a lot of money into the programs that we have and really invest and build the program as much as we can to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful in engineering. So we have 4 different program families. The first is building and construction. So we have an architectural engineering program and civil engineering as a part of this family. And then we have construction management as well. Then we have computer, which is very popular, which includes computer engineering, software engineering, computer science, and user experience. Then we have our main engineering programs. So these are the most popular programs on campus and typically the ones that are most well known. So that would include biomedical engineering, biomolecular engineering, also known as chemical engineering, electrical engineering, industrial engineering, and our most popular program, which is mechanical engineering. This is a very broad program. You can do a lot of different things with the mechanical engineering degree, so that's why it's very popular on campus. And then finally, we have math, business, and nursing. So actuarial science is a math program. We have a Bachelor of Business Administration, and we have a nursing program as well. So whichever program you're most interested in, when you apply to MSOE, you can apply directly to that program. And one of the most important reasons why you would want to apply to MSOE is that we are a direct entry school. So what this means is when you apply to MSOE, you apply to the program that you're interested in the beginning. And if you're admitted to MSOE, you are also admitted into that program right away. So at some other large universities in the United States, they have what's called pre-engineering or pre-nursing. And at those universities, you typically have to apply to the university. And then if you're admitted, you have to take sometimes 1 to 2 years of general education classes before you actually apply to your program. That does not exist at MSOE. At MSOE, we are direct entry. So if you apply to computer science, you get admitted to computer science right away, and you start taking computer science courses in the very first term. This applies to all our different programs across campus. So you can apply to any of these programs and start taking those program-specific classes right away in the first term. We also have a ton of lab time. So in the course of 4 years of study, over 600 hours will be spent in the lab. So this means you're going to have a lot of hands-on experience. You're going to be working directly with the equipment, the machines, the tools, the software that are a part of your program. So that way, when you leave MSOE and you graduate and you're looking for a job, you already have a ton of experience, a lot of hands-on experience in your field of study, and you're really ready to hit the ground running when you start in your job. We also have a year-long senior design project. So this takes place over the course of the final year. In your 4th year, you will create a senior design project with a team of other student engineers to answer a question or solve a problem. And sometimes you can even be sponsored by companies in the Milwaukee area who are looking for a team of students to work on their senior design project. Overall, we are a very small school, so we have small class sizes, a 13-to-1 student to professor ratio, and about 20 students per class. So this means you're going to get a lot of hands-on attention from your professors. You're going to get attention from your other classmates as well. And you're not just going to be another number or another seat in your class. You're going to get the attention that you deserve in your classes. And then we have a 4-year graduation guarantee. So this means as long as you are completing your classes, and you're doing well in your classes and you're staying on your program track, you are guaranteed to graduate within 4 years as well. Here's a couple more facts about our educational philosophy. This deals more with professors on campus. So all of our professors are highly qualified and they have an average of 7 to 10 years of industry experience before they start teaching. So of course, it's important for your professor to have experience because this means that they have the connections to the industry. It means they're an expert in their field, and it means that they're willing to help you with the connections to the industry as well. Our professors are often recommending internships, recommending jobs, helping make connections with our students so that way they have an easier time finding positions in the field because they're with a professor who actually has that industry experience as well. Sometimes they're even still working in the industry while they're teaching as well. So it gives you an extra leg up because our professors are more than willing to help you find these opportunities. All of our professors teach our classes and our labs. So all of your classes, all of your labs will be taught by these industry professionals who are there and willing to help you make those connections as well. At some larger institutions, they have what's called teaching assistants, and teaching assistants are essentially graduate level students who are teaching your classes. This does not exist at MSOE. We do not have teaching assistants, and all of your classes are taught by those expert professors. Overall, this just leads to a really great professor-student interaction. So I already described this a little bit, where your professors are going to be playing an active role in your academic life, making sure you're doing well in your classes, giving you advice when it comes to career guidance, offering internship and job success, job examples, and connecting you with professors and professionals in the industry who will be able to help you make those connections, help you find internships, help you find jobs. They will know what your successes and your challenges are. They will know if you're missing from class one day. Being that we are such a small school and we have so small class sizes, our professors really do take that active approach in helping you be successful through your classes. This slide just talks a little bit about our accreditation. So overall, we are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. And then we do have individual accreditations as well. So we have our accreditation for engineering through ABET, Engineering Accreditation Commission. We have our collegiate nursing accreditation for our nursing students. And then we also have accreditation for construction education for our construction management students. Some students might be interested in work and research opportunities. So we do have some research opportunities available, but a lot of our international students will choose to have on-campus jobs. So we have many different on-campus jobs ranging from campus life to public safety to admissions. We have many different opportunities on campus for you to be involved and to work on campus. And then I mentioned we do have a few undergraduate research opportunities available. These are faculty-led research projects, and this would be coordinated with the faculty when you actually start at MSOE. And then, of course, we have CPT and OPT work authorization. So CPT is for students who pursue an internship during the academic year. And then OPT is for students after they graduate who choose to stay and work in the US. Many of our programs are STEM approved programs, so you get an extra 2 years of OPT as well. One thing that's very important to mention is that internships on our campus are very popular. Over 80% of our students have an internship, a paid internship within their second year of study. So this is very important for you because it gives you experience in your field. It allows you to see if you enjoy working in that field. Most of the internships are also pretty highly paid. And of course, it really just gives you good experience on your resume and makes you a really great candidate for when you start to look for a job in your final year. A lot of our students on campus get recommendations from their professors on internships. And we also have a very large career fair every year where about 350 companies will attend looking for our students specifically. This career fair is not open to the public. It is only for MSOE students. So it really gives you a great opportunity to network and get yourself out there and potentially secure an internship or a job. When we're discussing living on campus, there's really two different options on where you can live on campus. So when you attend MSOE, you are required to live on campus for your first 2 years of study. And this is the first option. So this is our on-campus apartment. This is the Groman Tower, and you can see from the photos, it's very nice living arrangement. Apartment style living, so it does have a furnished kitchen and a bathroom. All utilities are included. So what that means is electricity, water, heat, internet, all of that is included in the price to live in this building. And this building is actually paid monthly. Just like if you were to live in an off-campus apartment, you have to pay your rent every month if you choose to live in this building. This building is optional for meal plan because you have your own full kitchen to cook your own meals. The other option is if you choose to live in the residence hall. So the residence hall is more of a traditional style living. So in a residence hall, typically you would share a room with another person. And you can see we have 3 different types of residence halls that students can choose from. The first is Herman Viets Tower. This is brand new. This just opened up this past fall, so it's not even a year old yet. And you can see the facilities inside of it are very nice. So students who choose to live in a residence hall, they do have to have a meal plan. It is required. And the cost for living in a residence hall is added on to your tuition. So you would pay it just like you would pay for tuition. The second residence hall is Margaret Lock Hall. This is another very similar residence hall to Herman Viets Tower. It's just a little bit older of a building. And then the third residence hall is Regents Residence Hall. That's the striped building you see in the picture. This residence hall is only open to women at this point, and it is more of a suite style living where students will share a room with another person. And then in that suite, they would share a bathroom with the suite. So this residence hall is a little bit different than the other 2, but of course it's only open to women right now. When we're discussing student services on campus, we have many things to offer our students, and we know this is another really important thing to consider when you're trying to choose a university. So the first is the Wellness Center. So the Wellness Center is our counseling and health services. So this is where you can go to talk to a counselor if you're experiencing any mental health challenges, if you really need to talk to someone because you're feeling stressed out with school, pretty much anything where you would need to talk to a professional, this would go under counseling at the Wellness Center. And then health services is our nurse practitioner on campus. So if you're feeling ill, if you have any types of injuries where you need to see someone on campus, this is where you would go for health services. We also have a free tutoring program for all of our students. So this is very popular at MSOE. MSOE is academically a very challenging school. So we provide free tutoring for all of our students in case you need the extra assistance. Students can have 1 or more than 1 tutors, depending on how many classes they need help with. And 80% of our students use tutoring more as a preventative measure to make sure that you're keeping up in your classes and you understand all of the class content. This is very important, and we always want our students to know this is available for your academic success. We also have an athletic and workout facility. It's called the Kern Center. We do offer varsity sports as well as club and intramural level sports. And we do have a full workout facility that is free for all of our students to use. Our team that is most popular is our ice hockey team. But of course, you can check our website to see all of the different sports that we offer. We also have the career fair, which I mentioned earlier, where over 350 companies typically attend looking for our students. So this is a really great opportunity for you to network with different companies in Milwaukee and across the nation and potentially get an interview for an internship or job. We also have a very active student life department where over 90 different student organizations and societies exist. So these range from volunteer to travel to professional organizations found within your major. Many students will join these organizations and get involved on campus. But of course, we have many, many different events that are run through student life where students can get involved. For example, this week is St. Patrick's Week, which is very popular at MSOE because St. Patrick was the patron saint of engineering. So we really celebrate St. Patrick's Week. Everything on campus is green. We have shamrocks everywhere, and we really celebrate this holiday because our students like to get involved and spread the holiday cheer across campus. So you may be wondering, where do our students work? Where are our students hired? Where do they do internships? And where are they getting full-time jobs? So you can see on this slide some of the very popular companies within Milwaukee, Harley-Davidson being the largest company that our students are hired at in Milwaukee, but also Rockwell Automation, Foxconn, Johnson Controls, GE Healthcare, Milwaukee Tool. These are just a few of the companies who really look to hire our students because they know the quality of student and they know the academic challenge that our students have faced. You can see Amazon, Tesla, Google. These are all companies across the nation as well, which hire our students. Our students, of course, like to stay in the Midwest in Milwaukee, but of course, they're hired all across the country. So we have students in all states across the country getting hired for these big companies. Now, when we're discussing cost information, this is something that's usually very important to students. You can see our tuition and fees listed, our estimated living expenses, and mandatory health insurance. So that comes to a cost of about $61,446 per year. Now, this may seem like a very high cost, but you must know that all accepted undergraduate international students will receive a $25,000 per year scholarship, and this is guaranteed. So all international students who are admitted to MSOE receive this scholarship. And this just means MSOE has a very high return on investment. You can see listed here, we have our job outcome rate, 95% across all of our programs. So this means that within 6 months of graduation, you have a 95% chance of getting a job in your field with a starting salary of $65,000 or higher. Of course, this can vary depending on which program you complete, but this is the average across all of our programs. So this just means that even though you are spending a lot in the beginning for your education, it's a very high quality education, and you will start to return on this investment almost immediately after you graduate. Discussing admission requirements. The very first thing that we need is your application, and you can apply for free on MSOE's website, which is listed at the bottom of this slide. And then the other things that we need first is an official transcript with a minimum 3.0 GPA, 2.8 for business or construction management. And of course, these GPAs are on the US system. We need an English proficiency test. So you can take the TOEFL, you can take the IELTS. We also accept the Duolingo. So if you take the Duolingo, you'll have to send the scores officially to MSOE. And then we also recommend, but do not require, your ACT or SAT test. So if you have taken this, it's great for us to see, but we do not require it. A good candidate to MSOE has a strong math and science background. This will just make you as prepared as you can be for our challenging curriculum. And then after you're admitted, we do require to see a financial guarantee or financial documents and a copy of your passport. You can see at the bottom, we do also accept students conditionally who are admissible in all areas except for English proficiency. But because the Duolingo is so easy to take at home, we do highly encourage students to take that test if they have not taken the TOEFL or the IELTS. And this is my contact information. So you can always contact me here if you have additional questions. My email address is listed there. My WhatsApp is listed there. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. But at this time, I will turn it back over and I'll see what additional questions we have. Again, they can be any questions about MSOE or the admissions process.
Yeah, feel free to open up the microphones and ask anything you want, or put some questions in the chat and we'll get to those too. I wanted to maybe ask something just to go into a little more detail about Milwaukee, because I imagine it's the kind of place that few of our students have seen, or, you know, most people when they visit the US, they're going to Miami or New York. Is there anything you could tell us a little bit more about the city, maybe some places that you like or things that you like about it?
Yes, of course. So Milwaukee is a very interesting city because it's located in the Midwestern part of the United States. Most students, when they think of the United States, they're thinking of the East Coast or the West Coast, so New York or California, and they don't often think about what's in the middle of the country. So Milwaukee is located in the Midwest, and the Midwest is a really nice place to consider because the cost of living is a lot lower than California or New York. So if you're thinking about the cost of living, if you're thinking about the cost of attending school in the United States, make sure you consider the Midwest because the coast can be very expensive. So living in California, living in New York, the cost of living there is going to be much higher than if you're in the Midwest or the middle part of the United States. Milwaukee is also a city that experiences all 4 seasons. So this is something you have to consider as well when you're wanting to live in the United States, is what type of weather are you looking for? What type of climate are you looking for? In Milwaukee, you will experience winter, summer, spring, and fall. You will experience all 4 seasons, and it does get pretty cold in Milwaukee, so make sure you know that too when you're thinking about where you want to live. Milwaukee is also a large city, but it's not an overwhelmingly large city. It's not as large as New York, it's not as large as Chicago or Los Angeles, but it is a large city, so you will have that urban feel, but you won't feel like you're lost in the city or you're drowning in the city among all the other people. Milwaukee overall is just a very nice city to live in. The Midwest is a very friendly place. A lot of people from the Midwest are very friendly, and that's kind of the reputation that we have, is just being very nice in the Midwest, especially in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin.
Great, thank you. Has anybody got anything they want to ask?
I want to ask something. I wanted to wait a minute.
Oh, sure.
There's a bus coming from behind, so you can hear it, but I prefer it over the silence because I have a question. I have 2 questions, actually. First, I want to know when is your deadline submission for this year? If you can apply, if you want fall submission for 2022, and also what it's like to be, I mean, not in first person because you haven't, that I know of, made that experience, but what it's your community of international students. I know you have over 30 countries represented, but how is their experience? How are they involved in the community? I mean, you work with them in their application, so you must know them. In your experience, how is their experience?
Yes, of course. Thank you for your questions. So to answer your first question, we are on a rolling admission. So we don't have an application deadline. You can continue to apply for fall of 2022. We are accepting applications, and our admissions process is pretty quick. Once we receive all the documents that we need for an admission decision, we can usually make a decision within the same day as soon as we receive all those documents. That's another benefit of applying to a small school, is we're able to tailor our admissions and make sure that we're giving you the information that you need very quickly. So as soon as all the documents are received, usually within 1 or 2 days, we can make that decision. So I do encourage anyone, if you're interested for fall of 22, but if you're interested for fall of 23, I just encourage you to get your application in as soon as you can. Now for the second part of your question on how is the international community on campus. So being that we are such a small school, we do work really hard to promote diversity and to promote inclusion. We have a diversity, belonging, equity, and inclusion office on campus. So we make sure that all of our students are involved in events, involved in academics, involved in all areas on campus. And we do that by creating and promoting events that deal directly with our international students on campus. So for example, we have a program where each month we focus on a different country, and those students from that country get to bring food and music and activities and share it with the campus and make sure that everyone learns about their culture and is involved in their culture. Because our school is so small, our international students are able to have that type of reach across campus and make sure that everyone is involved in learning about their culture and promoting it. And just overall, our campus just promotes inclusion in every area to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and everyone feels like they can bring their own culture and their own experiences across campus.
Thank you very much.
If it's okay, it looks like we do have a question in the chat, and it's about the scholarships. So yes, if I go back on my slide here, we do have a merit scholarship. It's a very large merit scholarship, and it is guaranteed if you're admitted to MSOE. So it's a $25,000 per year scholarship. And this is given to all students who are admitted. So this does bring the cost down pretty significantly, but it is still going to leave a cost of about $36,000 per year. So the scholarship, again, is for anyone who's admitted. We do have a few other scholarship opportunities for students who have participated in World Robotics or VEX Robotics or FIRST Robotics or any type of engineering course in their high school curriculum. But this is what makes up a majority of the financial aid at MSOE.
On that same topic, actually, real quick, but I'm sorry to cut off Daniel's question there in the chat, but are there any other opportunities for students to maybe work, maybe work on campus to offset some of their costs, or maybe later in their time there become like an RA as an international student to maybe get some discounts on room and board or things like that too?
Yes. So a lot of our international students will choose to have on-campus jobs. I will be very honest with you, though, an on-campus job is not going to pay for your tuition or your living expenses. It really will just function as extra spending money for you. So that way you can have, personal essentials while you're at school or have a little bit of spending money. So working on campus will not be able to pay your tuition or living expenses. But if an international student does have an internship over the summer, you can make some substantial money through an internship. So typically our internships are paid around $15 to $20 per hour. They are not given through the university, so you do have to find internships on your own, but there are plenty of opportunities that exist at MSOE because we are such a well-known school, because we have such close connections with industry partners, and because our students and our faculty have a really collaborative mindset. There really isn't a lot of competition at MSOE. Students are more than willing to help each other. Faculty wants to help students find internships. So as long as you put in the effort to find an internship, you will have no problem finding one. And then, like Andrew mentioned, usually within the second year, you can choose to apply for a RA position, a resident assistant position. So you cannot do this within your first year, but in your second year, you can apply to do this. And an RA essentially is in charge of one of the floors of the residence halls, and you get free room and board for doing this. So this is another great opportunity for students to save a little bit of money, but that can only happen in your second year.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so Daniel was asking about the benefits for athletics, if there's any, or maybe how someone could get in touch with coaches to be recruited.
Yes, so we do have varsity sports. We also have club and intramural level sports. So varsity sports would be for somebody who plays a sport well, wants to continue playing a sport when they go to college. So you can always reach out to me and I can connect you with the coach of that team, and they can look to see if they want to have you on the team. If you're someone, for example, who likes to play soccer, but really only wants to play it for fun, then you would qualify for our club or intramural team. So this is a little less time commitment than a varsity sport, but it's still just as fun. The club teams can still be just as competitive, but this is another option if you want to be involved in sports, but you don't want the time commitment of a varsity sport. So all of our sports are listed on our website. If you're interested in sports, please let me know and I can connect you with the coach.
Yeah, the facilities were great. When I got to check those out, it was absolutely beautiful area you guys have there for all your athletics and all the exercise spaces and things. It's very modern. Yeah,
we do have a really nice ice hockey arena. So if you're familiar with ice hockey, that's the biggest sport we have on campus. But then we also have a really large soccer and lacrosse field. We have a baseball field, a softball field, indoor running track, basketball court. All the sports that we have, the facilities, we keep them as new and up to date as we can to allow the students to participate fully.
And he also asked in the chat if there were any scholarships for sports.
Unfortunately, no. So we are a Division III school. What Division III means is that we do not have scholarships for athletes. So there's always some opportunity to discuss the scholarships that we offer, but you cannot get them through athletics. Any other questions?
I do have a question. I would like to know if there's any kind of financial aid for people with physical disabilities.
Yes, so I'm actually unsure of that. I know really the only financial aid we offer is the $25,000 per year scholarship. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible to receive federal aid through the US government, and MSOE does not offer need-based aid. So really the only scholarship that you can receive, the only type of aid you can receive is the $25,000 per year. But I can always put you in contact with the financial aid office so they can answer your question fully and see if there's any opportunity for students with disabilities.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wanted to know what kind of clubs do you have? Are they all sports related, music related, or do you have kind of different clubs?
Yes, so we have many, many different clubs on campus. So the clubs that we have and the club sports that I mentioned, those are actually two different things. They just kind of have the same name. So club sports is specifically for sports, but then we have over 90 other interest clubs on campus. So we have volunteer opportunities, we have political opportunities, we have travel opportunities. We specifically have two different groups, one of which that goes to Guatemala, and then the other one this year went to Honduras. And sometimes we go to Africa as well to do different service projects and help the communities there. So we have different travel opportunities. We also have some long-term study abroad programs. We have clubs that are specifically related to your major. So we have a nursing club, we have an architectural engineering club, we have a mechanical engineering club. And then we have a lot of clubs that are specific to interest as well. So we have a super mileage car club where you have to create a car and then see how many miles you can get on that car. We have a unicycling club for people who like to unicycle. We have many different opportunities for clubs on campus. We also have clubs of diversity as well. So we have a Filipino club, we have a women in engineering club, we have many different opportunities. So whatever your interest is, likely we have something that matches that.
Thank you very much.
Samantha, and about what you mentioned about the study abroad club,
Oh, yes.
can you tell us a little bit more about that? But because I think that lots of our students will be really interested.
Yes, so we do have a few study abroad opportunities. The most popular would be our exchange program with a university in Germany. So this is for a few specific majors on campus. I know electrical engineering is involved, mechanical engineering is involved, and these students will spend a year studying abroad in Germany. We also do have a program in Italy as well, and a few others, but the German one is the most popular.
Okay, and you have to do it for a year, or can you do it just for a semester?
The exchange program is for a year, but I know we do have some short-term opportunities for semesters as well.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions?
I think...
Anything else in the chat? No. That's no problem at all.
Is there like anything else you would like to tell us, like some advices for the future students?
Yes, so I would say that a good MSOE candidate would be somebody who loves math and science, who's interested in engineering or interested in nursing, someone who's ready for an academic challenge because it is a little challenging at MSOE, but someone who's really looking for the reward and really looking for the outcome of spending all that time putting in their studies at MSOE. Our students have a really high job outcome rate, really high starting salary. Our students are continually hired by the big companies in the Milwaukee area and across the nation. So if you're really looking to put in the investment, put in the time and the effort, MSOE really pays off for students in the end.
Yeah.
It's great.
100% agree. Actually, it's funny. I was after I took my trip, I went back to my mom's and I was talking to her husband about the school that I visited, and he was like, "Oh, I've heard a lot about the MSOE actually, because he works for Ford and he went and got a master's at MIT, but he's hired a lot of people from MSOE as well to work in Ford in Michigan in that area. So it is a university that has that name recognition, that people do know that if you're hiring somebody from MSOE, they know what they're doing, and that was the same feeling I got when I talked to those students that you introduced me to. So I can see that on all levels. And I think that's why it's a great option, and really appreciate you taking some time today to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me. Again, students, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me or reach out to Andrew and he'll put you in contact with me. And I really just look forward to speaking with some of you and hopefully seeing your applications.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Samantha, for your time today. And hopefully we can have you on again sometime. It'd be nice to do another round of these. So, and
yes,
hopefully we can get some people to apply to MSOE.
Yes, of course. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Have a good night. We'll be back on at 7 o'clock with our next guest, Hillsdale College. So you guys are free to chill out and hang around for a little bit and listen to my beautiful pause music, or you can come back here at 7 and see Hillsdale College. We've also got Illinois Tech at 8 p.m. So we got a really good lineup today to close out the fair. We'll take a little break and we'll see you back here at 7.
I just wanna sit down by myself and think about my day. And I'm sticking to my plan, ayy. It ain't no backup, cause I'm kinda getting tired of treating life like it's a drag race. I'm on my business, drink my water. I don't take anybody's offers. You gotta call first.
So I think I'll open us up here, and yeah, let's start bringing
You
people
can
in.
start.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick intro here too. All right. There we go. There's people. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your continued participation in the Score Fair. Tonight we have Hillsdale College represented by Alexander Green. I got the opportunity to go to Hillsdale not too long ago. So it has been more time than it feels like, I think, after we were talking about that. But got to go there and see the campus. It's a beautiful campus in rural Michigan, and I'm sure that Alexander will tell you a lot more about it. Very different approach at Hillsdale College. I think you'll love hearing about it. So, Alexander, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate it. I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see it. I don't think I'm sharing the right thing. Let me try that again. Where is it? All right, can everyone see the presentation? Great. Yeah, so my name is Alexander Green. Sorry for the delay there in getting started, but I attended Hillsdale and graduated in 2019, and I now live in Portland, Oregon. So I'm on the west coast of the United States, very far away from Michigan, and I work with students from the Pacific Northwest as well as international students, which is how Andrew and I got connected in the first place. So here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out with any questions or inquiries about Hillsdale. And if you want to keep up with Hillsdale and get more information, feel free to scan that QR code with your phone if you've got it around. That's a useful thing to do. You can also just go on our website and request information if that's easier. So we are located in South Central Michigan. Hillsdale, Michigan is kind of on the northern part of the United States, so it tends to be fairly wintry there. So that's something that a lot of students get used to. But this photo is taken in the summer, which is definitely my favorite part of the year. We are a small classical liberal arts college. We have about 1,500 students or just below that. And about more than 70% of students are from out of state. So you can see those four things at the bottom. The private, independent, Christian, and classical liberal arts are some things to know about Hillsdale. So I'll explain what those mean as we go along, but I just wanted to kind of give you some information about that. So I always like to start presentations like this by going back and explaining Hillsdale's founding, because it helps explain the identity of the school a little bit and just give you some information about that. You can see that old-timey photo with that old fountain and the Central Hall building behind it. That is the same building that you can see up in the corner of Hillsdale at the logo. The top of that building is called Central Hall, or the whole building is called Central Hall, but that clock tower is part of the logo. So we were started back in 1844 by a small group of Christians called Free Will Baptists, and they started this college. They were abolitionists. So what that means is that they wanted the abolition, or they wanted slavery to stop in the United States. So they started a college because they wanted to start accepting all types of people and giving them a great education. So they were the first college in the country to have a non-discrimination clause written into the charter. So we have never discriminated based on sex or race or religion or country of origin. This is near and dear to our hearts. We really value good education and giving it to anyone who wants it. So we have lots of online classes for free, and we host events all over the country. And I love working with international students. It's always a blast. Something that's also interesting, you might remember from the previous slide, that Hillsdale is an independent college. And this is kind of a unique thing in the United States. There's only a few colleges like this, but it means that we don't accept federal funding. So most colleges accept a lot of money from the government to help keep the doors open and keep things going. Hillsdale decided several years ago that we were not going to do that because they had us start to count students based on sex, race, religion, and country of origin, which we have never done and never wanted to do. So we decided that we were no longer going to take, or that we were not going to take federal funding, but also we haven't in the past. So that was just kind of a reiteration of that. But it means that we are able to offer all sorts of students an education that is kind of very Hillsdale specific. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few slides there. But I also want to explain what a classical liberal arts education is. This is probably the most difficult part of my job, is explaining to students and parents and teachers what this actually means. I honestly still struggle with it because I didn't know what it was when I arrived at Hillsdale, but I like people to know. So Hillsdale is rooted in the classics. So we study a curriculum that is rooted in a Western tradition. And what I mean by that is that Hillsdale wants students to be flexible and creative problem solvers, no matter the problem posed to them. And we also want to study things that are good and that are true and that are beautiful about the world. So it goes back to Athens and Jerusalem, trying to understand those things. So like, what did Aristotle and Plato and Socrates say about the world? And up until now, what are the new ideas of the world that are being talked about, and how do we navigate those in conversation? So we think that it is really helpful to have a pretty solid base layer of understanding about the world. And so we have students take a ton of different classes in addition to your major. So that's this core curriculum. It's 18 different classes long, and you can see it ranges from things like Western theological tradition and Western philosophical tradition to biology and chemistry and math and physics. You also see some interesting ones in there, especially for international students, like the US Constitution and classical logic and rhetoric and Western and American great books. These are things that I always ask international students, why do you want to come to a place that is studying these things? And I love hearing in interviews with students, well, I want to learn about those ideas and have a richer, deeper understanding of Western thought and tradition, and be able to go into any job or citizenship or parenthood or anything after college and be able to navigate these ideas well. That's not the only thing we have at Hillsdale. We also have majors. So that's kind of an important thing to talk about. So we have just over 30 different majors and more minors than that. Some of the more popular ones you can see on the screen there are economics, English, biology, financial management, history, math, and politics. I was an English major and actually a Spanish minor, but I hesitate to say that in this group because I'm a little rusty right now. So don't quiz me on that, please. Some of the things that I like to talk about with majors are we have policy that you don't have to choose your major until the end of your sophomore year. So I always tell students, take some time, figure out what you want to do, try out all the different classes in the core curriculum, and then you can dive deeply into your major after that. So maybe front load it with the core curriculum. We also have some pre-professional tracks. So if you're interested in something like law or medicine or engineering, you can take this track, which means you have a major. So if you're doing engineering, maybe you do physics, and you have an engineering advisor that helps you know what classes to take to prepare for going to maybe grad school in engineering, so that you enter the workforce at a higher pay grade and with some more education. But we don't necessarily have an engineering school or a law school, just because we're too small for that. I should say, and I did say, we have about 1,450 students. So it's a fairly small school. And so it means we have to focus on the things that we have already. So you'll see there that we have a 9-to-1 faculty to student ratio, which means that there are 9 students for every 1 professor. So the average class size is about 15 students, really pretty small. So you get a lot of interaction with your professors and your fellow students. And they're pretty smart professors. So they hold a high standard, and they really help students to get there. So there's a high level of academics at Hillsdale. You'll see here some of the more academic opportunities, but they also, they're out on boats there. So it's maybe even a little bit athletic. That is our biology research station, which is about 4.5 hours north of Hillsdale. Hillsdale owns a little property, a big property in rural Michigan, where students can go and live for half of the summer. And this is usually biology students. They're doing research for their theses. So they're learning all about biology, and there's a lab up there so they can do their experiments and their theses for their senior year. We also, for those students interested in biology, have a cadaver lab. That's pretty unique for such a small school. So you get some practical experience. A genetics research lab for students interested in pre-law. Hillsdale has the highest LSAT score in Michigan of students graduating from Hillsdale. So we have students in really cool places with law. So the best law schools in the country, as well as we have had like 11 out of the 12 past years, we've had students go clerk in the Supreme Court of the United States, which is a huge deal. So it prepares students well for those types of things post Hillsdale. People always ask, does a classical liberal arts education really prepare you for life after Hillsdale? And we have a 98% placement rate. So it's a pretty solid number there. I got to study abroad with my time in Hillsdale. I studied for a few weeks in Spain with Spanish, but you can also go to France or Germany or Argentina or Scotland or England to do a study abroad experience. That WIP internship that's in Washington, D.C. So students, especially interested in politics and government and law, can go study in DC for a semester and get Hillsdale College credits for that, because we have a Hillsdale campus there where students can take classes at the same time. I also want to mention graduate placement. So like I said, we have a 98% placement rate. 92% of students that we surveyed in the last couple of years were happy with what they are doing. So it's not just like, oh, you're flipping burgers somewhere, but you're actually, maybe flipping burgers is what you want to be doing. So it lines up well with what you want to be doing. And so those are some of the companies and graduate program students are in. So it's setting students up well. But I also want to just talk about, what does it look like to be a student on campus? So we've talked a little bit about academics and where this will place you, so the nitty gritty of it, but also this is near and dear to my heart, is student life on campus. It's a really important part of college and learning and growing. So there are a lot of ways to be involved as a student in Hillsdale. It's a pretty rural campus, so we're out in the country, but the campus really turns inward to help students to have a lot of ways to be involved as students. So some of those things you can see on the screen. There's Greek life. So we have 4 fraternities and 3 sororities. There's spiritual life. Hillsdale's a Christian college, but we're open to students from all over the place. We have a lot of clubs for students to pursue their religion or their faith with. I want to touch on this because I think it's helpful. We have we have the 9th most faith-filled students in the country, which means, and that was rated by the Princeton Review, which means that we, though it's not required to be a person of faith or a Christian at Hillsdale, we do have a lot of Christians at Hillsdale, and there's a lot of ways to pursue your faith and make it your own. At Hillsdale, there's a lot of discussions surrounding those types of things, asking big questions and trying to understand how to live well in the world. So that's kind of an interesting and helpful thing to talk about. If you're a student athlete, we also have Division II athletics. We have 14 Division II sports. So we have soccer and basketball and American football and swimming, and we have a shooting team, which is kind of fun, a shotgun team. So that's lots of ways to be involved as a student. If you're not quite a varsity athlete, like me, I did intramural sports, which means that you can just get a group of friends together and play sports together. We also have 25 volunteer programs called goal programs that go out and build up the city and people there. You can also have a job on campus. So I actually had a couple different jobs. I was a resident assistant in my dorm. I managed a coffee shop. I love coffee. So I also enjoy talking to people. So it was a great job for me. But residence life. So in the dorm, I was a RA and then head RA and then a house director, and really enjoyed that. So all freshmen live on campus. That's something we require of students, just to kind of help you get connected well on campus. And then you can apply to live off campus later on. But I really enjoyed the dorm. I think that's actually a really good thing. About 60 or 70% of students live on campus throughout. So people tend to enjoy it. It's a great place to be involved as a student. Yeah, I think that's all for that slide. Something that I like to talk about that's really a helpful thing that I think helps explain Hillsdale's culture a little bit is this honor code. So this is something that all students sign when they arrive at Hillsdale. And it says a Hillsdale College student is honorable in conduct, honest in word and deed, dutiful in study and service, and respectful of the rights of others. And it says through education, the student rises to self-government. So the reason we have this is to help kind of set the parameters for student conduct and living well on campus. There are some funny videos that you can find about the honor code on Hillsdale's website. You can actually follow Hillsdale's Instagram page, that it's HC Admissions. And they have some fun videos about this, because not every student necessarily remembers it word for word, but they remember kind of what it's supposed to be doing. It's to be living and pursuing the good life during your time at Hillsdale, and hopefully afterward as well, setting the trajectory for that. So while we're a Christian school, it's not required of students. So this kind of stands in place, I guess, as a faith statement. We don't have a faith statement. This sort of just helps like guide the culture and the parameters of the students on campus. So we value being honest and respectful and self-governing. And we believe that education really points students to do that. As you're understanding more about the world and wisdom, you're also growing in sort of the self-governing virtue of knowing how to be practically wise in every situation. So you can also see some photos of Hillsdale students doing different things like sculpting and playing music and doing cheerleading and athletics and those types of things. I also want to talk about financial aid, because that is the elephant in the room with every college you're going to be looking at. I know, especially with some international students, I don't know how Peru works, but there are some countries where college is paid for by taxes. And so students will say that is so much money for a college education. So in the United States, it is on students to fund their education. That is made up of either paying out of pocket or financial aid, or which also includes loans. So I just want to explain what this looks like. You might be asking, since you don't accept government funding, are you extremely expensive? And that would be the obvious question. And the answer is actually no, comparatively not terribly expensive. So Hillsdale's average, or the total build cost is about half of what similar colleges to Hillsdale cost. So it's about $41,000 a year this year. It increases just a little bit every year. But the average financial aid package is about half of that. So about $22,000. All students are automatically considered for merit scholarships based on the fact that you apply to Hillsdale. So that's one thing to know. And then we also have need-based aid, both for domestic students, but also for international students. So we have an international student need-based aid form to fill out. So if you're interested in that, feel free to email me, I'll send it your way. But if you're a junior, we'll get there when we get there. So I would say first apply and then see where that stands, because it's a free application. But the reason we can keep our costs lower is that we have a ton of people that give money to Hillsdale. They value what we value, and they want to help keep our doors open and help us get students to the college. So that's why we can give financial aid. That ranges. Some people have more financial aid than others. It just depends. And then the last way you can get scholarships is those talent-based scholarships you see on the screen. And basically what that means is athletics or music or art or theater. You can apply for those things specifically through those departments in the college. So you could be a student athlete with scholarship, or you could be a student musician with scholarship, those types of things. And then also you could work a job on campus. That's a great way to keep costs low. One other thing that I want to mention is that about 33% of students graduated with loan debt, which means right around 70% graduated debt-free from Hillsdale, which is quite a lot. And then of those that had debt, the average debt at graduation was just under 1 year's cost of Hillsdale, so about $30,000. So it's still a lot of money, but as far as colleges go, at least in the United States, that's a pretty small number. So I just wanted to mention that. So if any of this has been interesting to you or piqued your interest and you want to learn more, I would encourage you to reach out to me or visit campus if you want to. You're welcome to do that. We also have virtual visits if it's a little too far. But some next steps, if you're looking to apply for Hillsdale, the application will open this summer for you juniors. For you seniors, the deadline just passed, unfortunately. So also, I don't know if you use junior and senior. Junior is 11th grade and senior is 12th grade. So I just want to mention that. The priority merit scholarship deadline is December 1st. It's worth applying before then. And then if you want to, and you're really sold on Hillsdale, you can apply November 1st. That is the early decision deadline. One thing to mention, this bottom thing here that says admissions interviews are strongly recommended. That's kind of a unique thing to Hillsdale. We do admissions interviews for as many students as we can. This is something we do over Zoom. I do these all the time. It's usually 30 to 45 minutes where I ask you questions, get to know you a little bit, and just kind of see who you are. You can only learn so much about a person based on their application that comes up on your screen. So it's helpful to get to know people a little bit. So we love doing those. Just reach out to me and we can schedule one. And we're doing those mostly in the fall for applicants, but also a little bit later on if you need to wait. So there ends my presentation. I'm going to leave this up on the screen here for a minute or two, just so if you are interested, you can sign up for more information or write down my information. But thank you so much for listening to me talk for the last few minutes. And yeah, we have some time for questions now, if anybody is interested to learn more.
All right, great. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you want to open up your mics, put something in the chat. I was wondering actually maybe if you could tell us a little bit more about Hillsdale itself. I know you mentioned kind of a little bit about the location being in Michigan and the weather aspects and things, but I feel like it's when it comes to these smaller towns, it's always good to hear from someone who's in the town who has. I mean, I know you're in Portland these days, but you've spent a lot of time in Hillsdale, so I don't know if there's anything else you could tell us about Hillsdale itself and maybe what people could expect.
Yeah. So Andrew has actually gotten to see the town. He came to visit me and shot a video on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see some shots of the campus, that's a helpful way to do it. I also have some videos online. But the town of Hillsdale is a pretty small town. It's a fairly agriculturally driven town. There's also a couple factories in the area, but really quaint Midwestern downtown area. There are several coffee shops and little restaurants that students and people from the town enjoy hanging out in. One of my favorites was called Rough Draft. I really enjoyed studying there and having some coffee and just getting to know people. I actually worked there for a little bit, but there's also a lake nearby called Beese, which is an old Native American name. And so we would swim in there in the summer and skate there in the winter. It's a beautiful area. The fall is really a beautiful time where the leaves are changing and it gets very crisp. So I have very fond memories of the town. It's small, but that also means that you get to know people pretty well.
Thank you. And he's asking in the chat about different clubs, student associations. Maybe, I don't know if there's some you want to highlight.
Yeah, so there are about 100 plus different clubs and organizations. So that includes things like the volunteer programs I mentioned. There's 25 of those. And the Greek system, so fraternities and sororities. As far as clubs go, there are several that you could be involved with. Some that are particularly interesting are there's a sailing club that goes over to Lake Michigan, which is a massive lake along the side of Michigan, and they teach students to sail, and they sail and race against other schools. We also have a club soccer team. We also have things like investment clubs. So they manage a portion of Hillsdale's endowments. So in the stock market, there's an application to get into this club because it's kind of an important thing. So they get a portion, I think it's several $1,000s to decide what happens to that in the market. And so you get practical experience in how that works. Other things, I was in a music honorary, so I played music with a bunch of other guys, and we had little ensembles and things like that. So lots of ways to be involved as a student. It just kind of depends on your interests. We have a film production club, and if you have any specific questions about clubs, feel free to throw it in the chat as well.
Okay, great. Cayetano was asking about scholarships and financial aid. Now, you mentioned kind of the general package there that is kind of the typical amount. I guess it might be good to expand on that a little more. Like, are there any set amounts or maximums? Maybe, like, is it possible for someone to expect perhaps like a full ride or a larger portion, maybe if they have a really outstanding profile?
Yeah, so that's really what it comes down to. Is one thing is if your application is exceptionally strong, then you can qualify for more merit scholarships. And ways to do that are by really honing in your writing and making sure your writing is excellent, and doing well in your time in high school so that your grades are strong, and pursuing rigor and maybe a little bit more rigorous classes available to you, and doing the admissions interview. So really trying to make your application as strong as you can. Other ways to do that are showing need. So if your family doesn't have a whole lot of money, that you can get scholarships and need-based aid through that, whether it's loans or whether it's just gift aid. So you're given that. So it is possible to have a full ride. It's not extremely common, but we do try to kind of spread that out to students. So it just cuts the edge so more people are able to do that. As far as like specific Peru scholarships, I don't know of any of that off the top of my head, but occasionally that can happen with specific countries.
Yeah. Miguel was asking about some of the study abroad opportunities too. I know you mentioned a few of those countries. Maybe and also I was kind of curious about the timing on those. Like you said, for example, you could do, for instance, like a semester in Washington, D.C., but then also, you did a few weeks in Spain. What's sort of like the length of time they could expect with some of those study abroad opportunities?
Yeah. So it tends to be in the summertime. You can go longer if you really want to. But yeah, we have three or four of them are associated with studying a language. So like you could go to France if you're learning French, or you could go to Germany if you're learning German. Those tend to be through other universities, and those transfer back over to Hillsdale. Scotland and England are interesting because you don't have to be studying a specific language for that. Scotland is St. Andrews in Scotland. There's a university there called St. Andrews. And then England is Oxford University. So you could go to one of those universities and study maybe something in your major. So it tends to be the summer. I did mine for one class in the summertime. It was 3 weeks long. So I lived with the host family for 3 weeks. Some of these also have a dorm option, so you could live in a dorm. So it just depends on what you're looking for. All of these are handled through each language department or your department if you're interested in one of those other two. So some really excellent opportunities for that.
Great. I remember somebody was trying to talk when I was reading that question. I
I
don't
was trying to
know.
talk.
Okay, sorry.
I was gonna ask about your experience with international students, about the international population in Hillsdale. Uh, I
Absolutely.
don't know if you can elaborate a bit about it. I think there is a question related in the chat.
Yes. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. So Hillsdale has about 23 or 24 international students right now. So we have a good contingent. We have 12 or 13 countries represented right now on campus. So we have an international club that does a really great job of helping students to assimilate to the United States and to Hillsdale specifically. They have a meeting during orientation that they give out the information of other international students that have been there for a little bit longer, so they know the things that students need to have help with, like how do you get a phone plan in the United States, and how do you get a job, what you need. And so there are a couple staff members that also specifically are dedicated to helping international students. For example, Rich Mogenberg, he's the head of financial aid. He puts a lot of his personal time into helping students just be welcomed on campus. One other thing that's helpful to know is that only about 30% of students are from Michigan, and the rest are from all 50 states and 12 other countries. So a lot of students are showing up there for the first time and are getting to know people. So it's not like everybody in Michigan knows everybody. It's just everybody's coming from different places and is getting to know one another, and generally has a pretty genuine interest in getting to know other people. So it's a pretty, though it's far away, it's a pretty warm place to be welcomed into.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make too. Like, it's kind of like if it's your first year in a new high school, everybody's new, even if some of the people might know each other from previous school experiences. Like, you're still starting out of college. The majority of people don't know each other. So I don't think you have to worry too much about being like the one international person while everybody else already kind of has groups and things formed. I imagine you're all going to integrate very well. There's a question from Danielle about the contacting coaches and recruiters, and you mentioned sports scholarships, so he wanted to know a little bit more about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can, if you're an athlete and you're interested in pursuing being recruited by our athletics department, you can go onto your sports specific website. So let's say you play basketball. You can Google Hillsdale basketball. We're the Chargers, so I think it's hillsdalechargers.com, and find your specific sport. And usually in the plus tab on the, like there's several things, and then there's the plus tab. There's a drop-down menu that says recruit questionnaire. That is, you can fill that out to say, hey, I'm interested in being recruited by Hillsdale here, and you can submit some of your highlight videos and things like that. So the athletics department pursues scholarships. I don't have specific amounts off the top of my head, but they do make it possible for international students. We have a lot of international athletes, so that is a great way to pursue coming to Hillsdale. And then I see a question about finding jobs. So we have a career services department that helps whoever wants to find a job or an internship over the summer. So they are located on campus. They have several different staff members. So you can go into them and you can say, hey, I'm interested in, working in film or being a doctor or something like that. And they help students research. We have a website called Handshake, which is kind of like LinkedIn, but for college students. And they vet all of the companies that post internships and jobs on there. So we have a relationship with all of those companies. So that's a great way just to find just to do your own research, but also to have people that know a lot about different industries help students find different things. So like I said, it's about a 98% placement rate within 6 months of graduation. So pretty high numbers there. Students tend to be pretty well prepared for jobs post Hillsdale. Any other questions?
I have a question. I know Hillsdale College is a very faith-oriented university, but how does it transfer in college life? Because I mean, I'm an atheist and I'm a lesbian. how would I fit there?
That's a great question. So we have a wide variety. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. We don't count those numbers, but I know from my experience, there's a wide variety of different viewpoints on campus, and we really value discussion. And I would say if you're uncomfortable talking about the Bible or talking about what you believe, you would probably be uncomfortable at Hillsdale. But if you're open to talking about yourself and learning from other people and having a genuine curiosity in other people, that's a really good thing to have at Hillsdale, because that's very common, is just, genuine curiosity of like, what do you believe and why? And what do you think are the big answers of, why are we here? And what do we do on earth as human beings? Like, what's the point? And some of those more philosophical and potentially spiritual questions come up a lot at Hillsdale, just because those are the types of things that Hillsdale students and professors like to talk about. So as far as, what I feel welcome here, I can't answer that question for everybody, but I can say from what I know of the college, it's a place that really values people and really values what people have to say, and asking good questions and trying to come up with good answers from history and from philosophy and theology and those types of things. So I think, I think there's a wide variety that of people that create a community that tends to be pretty genuine and curious about other people.
I kind of a little bit unrelated, but somewhat. One thing I've noticed about Hillsdale, perhaps more than any other university that I've kind of investigated and had contact with, is just the immense online presence between videos on YouTube, courses that you're giving out for free, and things. There's a lot of just a lot of material and a lot of content from Hillsdale out there. And I was wondering if you could kind of share a little bit about that, maybe why you guys have dedicated so much effort into that. I'm also a little jealous of your subscriber count on YouTube, but like, that's a personal issue. I'll get over it. But I am curious to hear about that, because I find out a lot of other colleges and universities don't put that much stuff out there.
That's a really good question. I think it's two things. I think the first is that it's a mission-based thing where if you look up online, part of the mission is that we really value giving a social, moral, academic, and philosophical or spiritual education to all who want it. And so they thought, how are we supposed to do that? We're only this small college in Michigan. And so they thought, well, the internet is a great way to do that. So we have filmed all these free online courses for not for credit. It's just for personal enrichment. So there's courses on Euclidean geometry and the US Constitution, or the United States, or philosophy, and these types of things. So it turns out that a lot of people just like to learn. And so we produce those so that people can find those. We also have lots of educational materials. I think the other aspect is that because we are not governmentally funded, we need the support of people. And so the president of the college likes to say, for the things that we don't charge for, we're making a killing. And for the things that we do charge for, we're losing our shirts. So he's basically saying the people that are on board with Hillsdale's mission want to support the things that we care about. And so that's a great way for us to connect with them. And though we don't charge for them, people are often like, they feel led to give money to the college. So it's kind of this interesting duality of it's a relationship, and we call people that donate to the college or that are around the college friends of the college, and I really think that is a genuine sort of connection there. So good question. I haven't gotten that one before, but I think, I appreciate that.
I always have it's just something that stood out to me, because even after my trip up to visit, I came back home, and my mom's husband was actually checking out one of the courses from Hillsdale, and I was like, hey, that's just where I was today. Just a complete coincidence, but it's something that got my attention. It's I think that's nice, though, that you're putting a lot of information out there free of charge and giving people access to those things as well.
That's cool. Yeah, we have time for a few more questions, I believe.
Anything else you'd like to ask?
I want to know if there are in-campus opportunities to work for international students,
Yes, there
considering
are.
the visa limitations and all that.
Yeah, so students need a social security number, which is something governmental that you need to have here to work on campus. And I know international students don't usually have that. So Rich Mogenberg, the man who runs financial aid, will often drive students to the nearest city to go register for that. So you can have that number and then you can work a job on campus. So it just takes a little bit of work to make that happen, but it is worthwhile and definitely a possibility. So all jobs are open to international students, just like any other student.
Okay, well, anything else? We got into the questions pretty quick on this one, so we've had a lot of good ideas here.
Yeah, this was fun. I'll put my information here up at the end. So if anyone does want to reach out, I'm happy to answer phone calls or emails, whatever you would prefer. But thank you all so much for having me. I really have enjoyed this opportunity to speak with all of you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Honestly, really appreciate it. It's, for me, it's a pleasure to see you again, and also just to have you here and to share, different perspective about Hillsdale with everybody here today. And thank you to everyone for participating and for all the wonderful questions. Really appreciate that too. Hopefully we can have you back another time.
Love that.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap this one up. We'll be getting back on at 8 with our last presentation for the fair. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you later.
See you at 8. Bye.
All right, so we'll have Illinois Tech coming on at 8 o'clock. I'm really looking forward to telling you guys a little bit more about IIT. These guys have a full tuition scholarship for international students. And if you saw the video that I put out a couple of weeks ago, we did an interview and a campus tour of IIT. It's a beautiful campus, a lot of modern buildings, some great architecture, as with everything in the city of Chicago, but also the students there. I mean, they are students who are getting a lot done in a little bit of time. And even though it's a tech school, they also do have other kinds of majors like business majors and things. And they've got an awesome music school on their campus. Like, there's a lot of different things about IIT that you might not know. So we're going to take a little break. We'll come back and talk to IIT at 8 o'clock. Nice little crowd here, so looks like we can get it started. I'll let these people in. Start getting some more in here. I'll give you a quick little intro and we'll get going. All right. Welcome back to the fair. Thank you guys for attending. This is our last session of our first SCORE fair, and we've got the Illinois Institute of Technology, Illinois Tech, IIT, however you want to call them. They're a fantastic university. I've had the chance to finally visit the campus after Tyler and I here, Tyler Hardy's going to be representing IIT and telling you about them tonight, but Tyler and I met virtually first, and we made a nice episode about IIT back then that a lot of people have checked out, and so I had to go see the campus for myself. Got to go there not too long ago, loved it. And I think it's got some amazing programs that you're going to be interested in, and also some really, really good scholarship opportunities as well that I hope we can hear more about, because there's some very impressive offers coming from IIT. They're located in Chicago, which is probably one of my favorite cities, I think, on the planet. Honestly, love it there. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about Illinois Tech. Hope you are too. Tyler, take it away.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone to this presentation on Illinois Institute of Technology, where you're going to learn about how Illinois Tech can elevate your future going forward. As was mentioned, we are located in the city of Chicago, which is the third largest city within the United States. We're about, I want to say, 15 minutes from the main downtown area of Chicago. So there's lots to do. Lots of great restaurants, lots of internship opportunities, and just areas to hang out with friends during the summer, winter, fall months, during your time in Chicago. So as mentioned, we are a smaller campus, 125 acres. And what I mean by that is you can basically wake up, I want to say 10 to 15 minutes before your class and get there on time if you rush, which I don't recommend at all. But we are 3 miles from the Loop, or downtown Chicago, which again is about, I want to say, 15 to 20 minutes via the Red Line and Green Line train system within the city of Chicago. We're also connected to O'Hare International Airport and Midway International Airport. So there's lots of places to go. And especially if you're looking to explore the rest of the United States, there's lots of opportunities to do so. In terms of where we're located in the historic Bronzeville and Bridgeport area. We're right by a US Cellular Field, which is a professional baseball field, as well as Chinatown. Chinatown is one stop away from us. So there's lots of great Chinese food. Throughout the city, you're going to find great sort of points Near me, I live right by Little Vietnam, so there's lots of great Vietnamese food as well. So you'll find little areas like that all over the city of Chicago. Now a little bit about what the classroom makeup looks like. We are a smaller school, so about 3,000 undergraduate students, with 25% being transfer students. So students that maybe start at a university and then decide to come over to us. That is also possible. We have about 3,200 graduate and law students. So that just means there's lots of great opportunities for research and other sort of collaboration with these grad professors and grad students. We have a 10-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So for every 10 students, there's one faculty member. So that's really, really small class sizes. So you're going to be receiving really, really individualized attention during your time at Illinois Tech. All 50 states are represented, and 37% of the total Illinois Tech population is international. So we are a very diverse campus, and you'll find students from all over the world. And finally, we have an 88% retention rate. So between the first and second year, 88% of students choose to stay with us. Now a little bit about our colleges. So we have 5 colleges at Illinois Tech. To start, we have the Armour College of Engineering. This houses programs like mechanical engineering, civil engineering, architectural engineering, and biomedical engineering. We have the College of Architecture, which is a 5-year architecture degree. What makes this degree special is that after the 5 years, students are able to become certified architects because it's a Bachelor of Architecture. And I want you to remember that much of our campus was actually designed by a famous architect, Mies van der Rohe. So if you're one of our architecture students, you're going to be working in his works of art, basically, during your time at Illinois Tech. Next, our College of Computing houses programs like computer science, artificial intelligence, computer engineering, and information technology and management. After that, we have the Lewis College of Science and Letters. So we have programs ranging from biology to global studies to astrophysics to biochemistry, among many, many, many others. Within this program, there are a few programs that are a little bit easier to get into, such as global studies, because we're not looking for those high math scores, but in general, we are looking for higher math scores, which I'll go into in deeper detail in future slides. And finally, the Stewart School of Business houses our business administration degree. Students can minor in business as well. And I always like to tell students, you look at who's successful nowadays, you see Elon Musk, you see Jeff Bezos. They sort of have that STEM and business background. So minoring in business will give you that edge going forward. And robotics is something that's very huge at Illinois Tech. This slide just highlights one of our students who actually designed a robot that was able to fly to the top of trees and gather materials from the top of those trees in order to study it at that time. So this just points to how big robotics is at Illinois Tech, and there's lots of great research opportunities for robotics as well. Finding success from an uncertain beginning. We have students from all over the world, from all different backgrounds. And Oscar Cazares was one of our students who had undocumented status. So he talks about how he earned his master's degree from the Stewart School of Business and how we supported him going forward from that sort of stature. And it solidified his determination to succeed and support others in his community. One thing that stands out about us is our accelerated master's degree. So all students can all students are able to complete an accelerated master's degree at Illinois Tech if they so choose. So some students can master, it normally takes 6 years, it normally takes 6 years to finish a master's degree. But with us, you'd be able to finish it in 5 years and pay that same undergraduate tuition rate for that 5th year along with your 4 years of undergraduate tuition. So it's a great way to save money, get out into the workforce sooner, and do what you want to do sooner in life. Some hallmarks of an Illinois Tech education. So what maybe stands out about us? First is ITP, or Introduction to the Profession. All students take an ITP course during their first semester at Illinois Tech, and this exposes you to research and careers within your field. So if you're a computer science major, you would take an ITP for computer science, and this introduces you to various career opportunities and research opportunities to make sure it's the right fit major for you. Next, we have iPro, which stands for Interprofessional Projects. This is probably what defines an Illinois Tech education. All students complete 2 iPros during their time at Illinois Tech. So what an iPro is basically is, say you may be a computer science major, you'll be placed into a group with an architecture major, a business major, a physics major. And as this diverse group, you need to identify a real world problem, then come up with a solution to those problems. An example I always like to give is that we're right by the Chicago White Sox baseball stadium, and they needed a new way to measure how far home runs were going outside of the stadium. So they actually got an Illinois Tech iPro team together. They surveyed or researched the stadium and developed this system for this professional sports team that they still use to this day, which is pretty cool. It connects students to hands-on experiences as well as sponsored companies through Illinois Tech. Finally, the Idea Shop is our unique collaborative makerspace where you can basically make whatever you want with our state-of-the-art prototyping lab space, collaborative teaming areas, and it's about 13,000 square foot facility, so it's quite big. One of our students actually designed what he calls the X Cube, which is kind of a more complex Rubik's Cube with another dimension to it because he found that too easy apparently. So he was actually able to design this using Illinois Tech equipment, and now it's sold throughout Barnes & Nobles or a bookstore throughout the United States. Now a little bit about campus life. So though our students, I want to say, take their academics more seriously than maybe students at a regular school, at a regular state college or a private school, because we are a STEM school, they still like to have fun. We have over 150 student organizations, 17 NCAA Division III sports teams, and over 660 student events held on campus each year. Out of the 150 student organizations, we have things ranging from music and radio, theater, cosplay, robotics, journalism, LGBTQ, and urban farming, among many others. We also have fraternity and sorority life, so 10 Greek chapters, 8 fraternities, 2 sororities. And I know for a fact that there are many international students involved in this Greek life. So it's a great way to make friends, and sort of see what's possible. It's basically a huge house full of friends that you make during your time at university, which is pretty cool. Intramural athletics and fitness classes are also popular with flag football, ultimate frisbee, floor hockey, tennis, outdoor soccer, among many others. Next, Illinois Tech Esports. That is something that's really growing at Illinois Tech. If you look at that top left-hand picture, that's actually a photograph of our esports lounge at Illinois Tech. Within the next year or two as well, we're supposed to have an esports stadium built near campus. So that'll also really grow Illinois Tech's esports community as well. Finally, the Bog is our on-campus hangout and gathering space featuring an 8-lane bowling alley, arcade games, billiards, foosball, ping pong, and performances ranging from karaoke to live bands to stand-up comedy. So it's a great place to hang out if you're not looking to explore the city of Chicago. And as mentioned, we have athletics at Illinois Tech too. We have pretty much everything besides American football, I want to say. So baseball, basketball, cross country, lacrosse, soccer, swimming and diving, tennis, track and field, and volleyball. In terms of housing and residence life, we have dorms right on campus as well. Most of our first year students end up in McCormick Student Village, which is our traditional communal style living, 6 residence halls in one. We also have George A. Kasich Hall, which is high-rise pod style living. So you would have your own room and then a shared space in the middle with other rooms around it. And then John and Jean Rowe Village is suite style living. So you would have a roommate, a shared room in the middle, shared bathroom in the middle, then 2 roommates on the other side. And this was actually voted one of the coolest dorms in the nation by US News and World Report. Now let's go into the specifics about admission and financial aid in terms of how to make the cost of education at Illinois Tech affordable. So we have a free application. You can apply online through the Common App. The deadline to apply for fall was March 1st, but if anyone wants to apply further, they can still do so. Just reach out to me at the email at the end of this slide right here, and we can get you set up with a sort of special application. And next, for spring admission, we have a November 15th deadline for the classes that begin in January. So in terms of a first year class profile, the middle 50% of admitted students, so 25% scored below this and 25% scored above this. So we have a range of students. The middle 50% of admitted students scored the top 10% of the graduating class with a weighted GPA between a 4.0 and 4.36, and SAT or ACT scores between this range. We do super score, but luckily we do not require the SAT for applications with us, which I'll go into further detail. Right here, admission requirements. So we are test optional for fall 2022. So SAT or ACT scores are not required. We need at least 3 years of high school transcripts, 1 letter of recommendation, official TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo scores. And if you're an architecture student, a portfolio is optional but recommended. In terms of recommended coursework, we're going to be looking primarily at your mathematics grades. So looking for A's and B's in major specific courses like the equivalent of calculus, pre-calculus, and those kinds of courses are what we like to see, or HL math, for example. We are also looking at your engineering and science grades. Social science, if you get a C in a history class one year, that's not the end of the world, because again, we're looking primarily at those math scores. Now you can see the total cost of attendance on the right side. So this includes tuition, room and board, fees, health insurance, and this comes out to around $68,000 annually. International students are automatically considered for merit scholarships that range from between $14,000 to $25,000 automatically through the application through the Common App. So you can deduct that amount from that amount right there. We also have a very competitive full tuition scholarship. So if you're applying for fall of 2023, you'll need to apply by fall or November 15th, 2022 for this scholarship. So it's a separate application as well as application through the Common Application. So that's the November 15th deadline that covers full tuition, and it's very competitive. I believe last year, one of my students from Brazil was actually awarded it. It was very exciting, because in the past, we weren't awarding the scholarship to international students, but now it's open to international students. So really make sure you apply for that scholarship if you're looking to start in fall 2023. You can see some of the optional practical training where students end up. So where students end up working after Illinois Tech. That includes Amazon, Coca-Cola, Deloitte, Expedia, Google, IBM, Visa, Goldman Sachs. So lots of different big name companies are looking for Illinois Tech graduates. You can see some of our career outcomes on this page too. You can scan that QR code or go to careeroutcomes.iit.edu. You're able to filter this by major to see what's possible with an Illinois Tech education. So 68% of graduates are employed full-time within 6 months for the class of 2020 with a mean salary of around $64,000 annually. And you can filter that even more by major, by school, by year, by internship status as well. So that's really helpful in determining if Illinois Tech is the right fit for you. I also, after going through all that, I also want to touch on the opportunity and value of an Illinois Tech education. We have the best ROI in our state, or the return on investment. We're number 42 best value national universities, and number 2 in the nation for overall upward mobility among highly selective private colleges. So our students are very, very successful after graduating from Illinois Tech due to the one-on-one sort of nature and the hands-on learning experiences that we offer. So now I kind of want to touch on something new that's happening at Illinois Tech. It's known as Elevate Your Future, which is the new sort of mantra and collectivism way of viewing Illinois Tech going forward. So our purpose since 1890 was to lift the collective power of difference to advance technology and progress for all. Our mission and role is to educate and prepare students to be future innovators and tech leaders. So how we live up to it, this is our Elevate Promise, Illinois Tech's one-of-a-kind educational initiative. Basically, what makes Elevate unique? We guarantee experiences ranging from study abroad to internships to research, along with a customized plan with your academic advisor to help you find the right job readiness methods going forward. And this is what we're guaranteeing for students that start with us at Illinois Tech. So these experiences include internships, study away, research, competition, short courses, customized plan developed with teams of advisors, academic, career, or alumni. And we're guaranteeing career placement within 6 months of graduation, or we're going to be able to offer free master's classes and sort of upskilling curriculum for you if you're looking to improve yourself going forward. So again, if you are not able to get a job within 6 months of graduation, we'll help you take courses at the graduate level and pay for those classes. And that's the commitment that we're making to our students going forward. So some student outcomes of Elevate Your Future: empowered with 21st century skills, experience essential for employment. 91% of employers look for previous experience. They look for internships. They look for students that are cultural. They look for students that work with people from various backgrounds. They like to see that. A 90.5% job placement, and high starting salaries and low college debt going forward. That's the sort of outcomes we are seeing with this Elevate Your Future initiative. Now your Elevate journey. If you do start with us, we have a first year experience. So that's mentorship and introduction to your profession. So nothing too extreme. Year 2 is professional experience 1. So maybe a career workshop or internship. Year 3 is professional experience 2. So maybe an internship, study abroad, or research experience. And finally, year 4 is iPro. So maybe you're going to be working again alongside people from different backgrounds, identifying a real world problem, then coming up with solutions to those problems. So this could be anyone's Elevate journey. It doesn't have to go in this exact order, but this gives you an idea as to what your experiential learning time will look like at Illinois Tech. All right, that wraps up my presentation right here. Again, if anyone wants to reach out to us in order to apply for fall 2022, please send an email to intl@iit.edu, letting us know, and we'll be able to set up an application for you going forward. With that being said, I'd like to open the floor up for any questions. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, feel free to open up your mics or in the chat. I had one that I wanted to ask you because I actually mentioned this to a couple of our students who were interested in some arts programs and things. And I know you have a relationship with the Vandercook School of Music, and I believe that's also one of your, like, a program in there. I don't know if you could tell us a little bit more about your connection with that school or how you guys work together.
Yeah. So we have a music school right on campus, Vandercook School of Music, and it's in collaboration with Illinois Tech. So if students wanted to minor in music, we do have a music minor. And we have various classes that are offered through Vandercook School of Music, like choir, instrumental classes, among the like. And it is quite popular with students who like to explore that sort of different background aside from the STEM experience that they're looking for.
Great. So yeah, if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask or anything else you want to know about IIT, go right ahead.
I have a question, Tyler. What you said about students that do not land a job and they get some classes at a master's level, how does this work for international students that depend on a visa to stay in the U.S.?
That's a good question. We promise some sort of way in order to help finance it. Maybe it might not be master's credit classes, but maybe a certificate program, for example, or just something to help with finding further job placement. It doesn't necessarily need to be master's courses. They work with the school to figure out what works best for them in terms of this extra support that they're looking for.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good question.
I think in the chat here, Annie's asking if there's any sports scholarships at IIT.
No, unfortunately, we can't offer sports scholarship. We're an NCAA division. We're NCAA Division III school, which means we're not able to give scholarships for sports. But what that means also is that our students are really focused on their academics, but sports aren't something that comes first for them. So it's really easy to sort of balance sports life and academic life at Illinois Tech. It's not as strenuous or difficult as maybe an NCAA Division I school.
Anything else? There we go. Type in a big one. Miguel's asking, saying, courses after graduation, if you are, okay, still kind of following up on the visa thing, saying if you're still enrolled in classes, are you still considered a student for visa purposes?
Yes, depending on the amount of credits that you have. So you may be enrolling in 3 classes. That should be enough for visa purposes.
I have a question. I have an question.
I think you can also type it.
Yeah, having a little microphone issue there. Getting that feedback. Yeah, if you want to type it out, we'll get to you.
Sounds good.
While we're waiting on that, I did want to ask also just about how easy is it for international students to get some work on campus opportunities or maybe opportunities as an RA later on, since that's often a way that, you know, students use to help finance things when they're studying abroad.
Yeah, so it looks like she's asking that question too. Are there internships,
okay.
job opportunities on campus? So yes, international students can work up to 20 hours per week on campus. So we have students that are working in dining, in admissions, with professors, at waiting desks. So there's lots of different opportunities. And I want to say normally after your first year is when you go looking for those opportunities. In terms of internships, that's definitely possible through our Elevate platform, which I'm going to stop sharing really quick. And let me find the link here and I'm going to put it in the chat box. So this is our Elevate portal that I just put in the chat box. And this houses basically all of our external job and internship opportunities, career resources, student engagement on campus, industry help, and communities on campus. You're able to look through all of the internships that, maybe are being advertised through Illinois Tech. And then, are there any study abroad or exchange programs as an undergrad? Yes, we have various partnerships with schools all over the world, primarily in Europe. I want to say we have a partnership with the University of Birmingham, as well as the University of Vienna. But you can also study pretty much anywhere where you'd want to go. We have lots of different opportunities for study abroad.
Yeah, are there any countries or universities in particular related to that with the study abroad opportunities, maybe some popular destinations?
I would say the popular destinations include the UK, Italy. We had a partnership with a school in Brazil as well. It hasn't been as popular the past few years for obvious reasons due to COVID. But that's what I would say. The UK and Italy are the big ones that are represented by students at our school.
Any other questions out there?
Yes. How big is the international population? So it's around 37% of the total school population. Let me do some math here really quick, and I can let you know how many students that is. That's about 2,000 students on our campus that are international, around 2,200 students. So yes, it is very, very diverse, a very diverse campus. Most of our international students are graduate students, but we do have a sizable undergraduate population as well.
And he's asking
And he has
also,
another question.
asking about student life. You mentioned Greek life, but you were saying maybe outside of that, what maybe some other things you could talk about student life experiences there?
Yeah, in terms of student life, we have over 150 student organizations on campus. So if you don't find anything that's of interest to you, you're able to make basically your own club at Illinois Tech. And you have to remember, we're also in the city of Chicago. So there's so much to do outside of campus as well. Just exploring the city, going to cultural spots. I know there's Lollapalooza and Pitchfork Music Festival during the summer months is really, really fun. So I think campus life is intertwined with Chicago life at Illinois Tech because there's so much to do on top of that. And as mentioned, we do have the Bog, which is our on-campus hangout zone on campus. So if you're not looking to leave campus, you can hang out there, play pool with friends or play video games, drink if you're of age. So it's a really cool place to hang out. And that's just one of the few places that we have on campus designed for student life at Illinois Tech.
And I just want to add to that about Chicago because I can never really get enough about Chicago. And actually kind of just asked about transport. I was something else I was going to say. It's so easy to get around Chicago between metro and trains. They've got a lot of really cool trains that go above ground, but then they also have a metro system in other parts of the city too. It's just a great city in general. And it's also a lot more affordable than other big cities. I find that's always the thing I can't understand when I leave Chicago. It's like, I didn't spend that much money while I was there. I don't know. Because you go to a big city, you kind of expect, okay, everything's going to be really expensive, but actually it's very affordable in the surrounding area, even more so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the transportation in Chicago is really, really great. I'm all the way on the north side of the city, and all I do is take a red line train system straight down, and it's about a 40-minute train ride, but it's super convenient. I walk right up to the stop, I take it, and it's a straight shot to Illinois Tech. So you'll find areas like that all over the city where it's easy to get around, particularly with our bus system and our CTA system.
That's the one I took.
Any discounts for students?
Sorry?
Is there like any discounts for students for transport?
Yes, all students get a U-Pass through their tuition. So you're able to travel as much as you want using public transit in the city of Chicago for a set fee already paid through your tuition. So you're already
Nice.
able to, use it as much as you want, travel the city using the CTA as much as you want.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Anything else you'd like to know? I wanted to also ask a little bit more about that full tuition scholarship. Is there any extra requirements for that application if they want to apply to this scholarship, or is it also automatically considered if they meet the deadline?
Let me find it really quick and I'll put it in the chat box. So this scholarship, you have to apply for it separately. So you need to submit your common application by November 15th and then apply for this by November 15th. There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in the chat box. You need to fill out separate, at a separate application for this. So there's a formal essay as well as a nomination form that you'll need with a copy of your completed application. So then you'll need to do that as well. So it is a separate application. So make sure that you are applying for this by that November 15th deadline on top of your regular application. That's the important thing.
All right, good to know. I know you told me when we talked about that before that it was pretty competitive, that there were only a handful given out each year, but it's definitely something that I'd like to encourage some people here to give take a shot at.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Hey, well, if there are no other questions, it's looking like they've been going pretty hard this week. Sorry, like I said, you're closing out the last session, so they might be getting a little sleepy on
all
us.
the great questions.
So, yeah. But I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, Tyler. It's always appreciated. I know you have a busy day on your plate. You're staying up late to talk to us too. So really thank you very much for your time. There is one more. All right, we'll get one more in here as far as what you're looking for.
Good question.
Yeah, go for it.
What are you looking for in an applicant? We like seeing an applicant that loves hands-on experiences, that's maybe into robotics or building things or just wants to do things with their hands. We like to see A's and B's specifically in major specific courses. So math courses, science courses, the equivalent of A's and B's. If you get a C in a history course one year, that's not the end of the world because we're looking at those math and science grades. But really someone that loves hands-on experiences and has a knack or is very talented in STEM or tech.
How do we find talent? What would you say, maybe if we were to define that idea of someone who's talented in those areas?
Yeah, in terms of talent, I think it's more so experience. So looking at you getting involved with various opportunities, if available, at your school. So if you have a robotics club at your school or any sort of extracurricular activity, really get involved in that. And I think that speaks more to talent than just how good an applicant is, just seeing how involved they are in various things at their school. Yep.
Great. Well, I think with that, we'll let you go, Tyler. I think we've managed to address pretty much everything here from most of the people. Appreciate, again, you taking the time to talk to us, and hopefully we can do another session like this. I'd like to do another round of Score Fair and bring you guys on board for the next edition. So, and maybe, like I said, maybe I can get up there when it's actually like warm and I can
Yeah, that'd be
see a lot of students on campus and walk around and get some more student interviews because I had a good time while I came up there. And I always love a good excuse to visit Chicago. So yeah,
good
if
to
you
hear.
guys will have me again, I'll be back.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Would you like to put up your contact info one more time real quick just to make sure
Yes.
everybody can see it real good there before we go? It's been a little bit.
Yep.
There you go. So yeah, you guys can get in touch directly with the office at the intel@iit.edu. Tyler Hardy's your man. And if you need anything, of course, you can always ask us too if you need help getting in touch. So thanks again, Tyler, so much for your participation
Thank you
tonight.
so
Thank you,
much,
everybody, for being
Tyler.
here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, everyone, and thanks for being so attentive, students.
Thank
Great.
you.
All right. Well, we'll be in touch. Have a great
you
night. And
soon.
thanks again for attending the fair.
Awesome. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye,
Bye,
Tyler.
everybody.
Thanks.
And with that, we wrap up the Score Fair. The first edition of the fair is over. Feels good. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit about these different universities. If you guys need any help applying to any of these universities or you want to learn more about them, you can get in touch with us at prepwithscore.com. You can leave me a comment here on the channel. I can always just get back to you directly that way. You got their contact information too from these different universities, so you can always just hit them up directly. We're hoping to do another one of these maybe later in the year, or maybe we'll just do another one next year. We'll see how it goes. We're going to evaluate that and keep moving forward, but I'm hoping to do another fair that's even bigger and better than this year's edition. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next week.